Hello and welcome to On the Turf, hosted by two guys who have never been on the turf. My name's Arjun Ryan.
I'm Sri.
And Sri, this is a real throwback to where we started on the turf, just the two of us, nearly 4 years later, doing this again. It's pretty special. Obviously we love having Rohan Camille here, but pretty special just, run it back for old time's sake, right?
Yeah, no, dude, I remember the first episode we put out. I was in my chemistry class, in Mr. Davis's AP Chem class, and I was telling him the whole class is so hyped. We were like, holy shit, like he is a podcast, and I sent him the link and stuff, and now we're here 4 years later, and I'm in college, and it's been so long, it's been so great. We honestly, Arjun, it flew the last 4 years.
It flew by. I mean, I started this when I was in my freshman year, and now I'm closing off things in my senior year, clubs and things like that as we approach graduation. And I think this is the perfect segue. Obviously we'd love to announce this with Rohan and Camille here, but that this will be the final season of On the Turf. Ending with this year's Super Bowl. We have 2 more months of this to go. We're excited to kind of finish this off, as I think it'll be a nice time capsule, if nothing else, to look back on the past 4 years. But while that will be the end of the season then, we're still in, very much the NFL season right now, and it's been a fun season so far. And this week was a very important week, especially in the AFC. So let's start there. Sri, our Pittsburgh Steelers are 8-2 after beating the Baltimore Ravens in an AFC North Classic, 18-16. I know you watched the full game. I know you have a lot of thoughts. Would love to hear your thoughts on both the Steelers and the Ravens side. But let's start with the Steelers and how they've really ascended to the top of the AFC this year.
One thing we've always talked about was how great our defense was. And to take this so-called number one ranked offense from the Baltimore Ravens, to hold Lamar Jackson, without great passer production. Derrick Henry, he had a couple of big runs, but this man has put up over 100 yards and a touchdown every single game. We held him in check. Our defense played so physical throughout it all. Our kicker, Chris Boswell, established himself. He's the most clutch kicker. Genuinely, we've always been looking for. We never even needed a top 10 offense. Mm-hmm. All we needed was a quarterback that could make clutch throws in 50% of the situations, and that could get us the win. Mm-hmm. And that's what Russ is doing. Yes, he didn't have a great game, but guess what? That's all we need. We don't need anything more than that, and that's why we're 8-2, and that's why we beat the Baltimore Ravens, and that's why we're leading the NFC North, the AFC North.
I think the biggest thing for me is exactly what you said. I think in every single win for the Steelers this year, the common trend is time of possession. In the past few years, the Steelers offense goes 3 and out on almost every possession, not every possession, but went 3 and out very often with Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, even Ben Roethlisberger in that last year. And that Steelers defense, which always had the talent, would sometimes not perform that talent because they would get tired throughout the game because the offense was consistently putting them on the field right after getting off the field. Now, even in games where Chris Boswell has to kick 6 field goals or 5 field goals like he did in Atlanta at the beginning of the year, we're allowing the defense to get rested. We're allowing them to go out and play at 100%, allowing TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nate Herbig, Cam Hayward, and everyone in the secondary to make plays. I think that's the biggest difference. This was Russ's by far worst game as a Steeler. Pretty bad game, I'd say, overall. In fact, maybe even worse than I think Justin Fields played. But we beat a top team in the AFC with that kind of performance. And switching to the Ravens side, I think we have to have this conversation again. We've been telling Rohan and Camille for years at this point. Lamar Jackson cannot play well against the Steelers. He's never really had a good game against the Steelers team.
He's 1-4 in his career against Pittsburgh, and he completed only 48.4% of his passes against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had an interception. Great play by our linebacker, Peyton Wilson, by the way. Mm-hmm. For me, it was just, the Ravens, they had a lot of casual mistakes here and there. Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals. They had a couple of silly mistakes. But to me, it's just, the pressure that we're able to generate off of our defense, the way our secondary is able to hold up. I think after the first half, he only had 2 completions to wide receivers. Mm-hmm. He was not doing much getting the ball around. Our defense was playing lockdown. And that makes me feel great. That we won that trade with the Panthers by trading with Deontay Johnson. We had players. Patrick Queen played an amazing ball. We had players on our side that were playing the revenge game, and we came out on top. And dude, it's just we every single time I like to pick the odds. It's like always plus 200 for the Steelers or plus 120
Mhm.
for the Steelers every time. We're never negative, and I'm always confident in taking that plus 120 for the Steelers every time because I know we're always going to win the Ravens against the
Yeah,
Ravens.
it's free money. They're getting that free money. Um,
Exactly.
we'll talk about the Steelers and Ravens playoff spots a little bit later. Let's switch to the other side of the AFC. At the top of the AFC, classic AFC rivalry game we've seen the past 5 years. Bills Chiefs, yet another good game by Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen beat Patrick Mahomes. They are now 4-3 against in their career. Obviously, those three losses for Josh Allen and the Bills, all three in the postseason. Bills win 30-21. I expected the Bills to win this game. I think the Bills are the better team right now. That's not to say, I would say, in the playoffs, I would probably pick the Chiefs still, just because Patrick Mahomes, you saw in the fourth quarter, Patrick Mahomes was able to turn on. He was able to complete those third downs, but it just wasn't enough because that last play by Josh Allen on that fourth down was
Yeah.
incredible. He was playing like a man possessed.
Yeah. I think for me, like the one, I mean, great for the Buffalo Bills, but the one thing that worries me is that they need to find a way to stop being one dimensional. That run game was non existent the entire game.
Mhm.
If Josh Allen did not have that level of performance in that game, they weren't getting the W, especially with Patrick Mahomes, the way he turned up in the second half. But if they can avoid becoming one dimensional, get that run game going, and actually working with all of their weapons, like uh, Josh Allen to Amari Cooper, that connection's already top 10 in the league. And they've only been playing for what, like 3 games.
Mhm.
Amazing throws, amazing catches all around. They have a ton of weapons that they're able to work with. The offensive coordinator does such a great job. But, the run game just worries me. If they're not able to have production against the Chiefs, and yeah, the Chiefs have a pretty good defense, like come playoffs time, like your offense is not going to click every single time. And as much as I love the Bills offense, that's like the one thing that I feel like needs to be better from them.
I mean, I agree to a certain extent. I don't think we should discount how good the Chiefs defense is consistently
Yeah.
for the past 2 years. I mean, that defense is incredible. And we have seen the Bills in other games. That run game can really control the game. James Cook and this offensive line certainly can control the game. And let's not forget, the Bills were out three offensive starters this game. They were out their right tackle, Spencer Brown, their
Yeah.
number one tight end, Kincaid, and Keon Coleman, the rookie receiver. So the fact that the Bills were able to gut this win out, put up 30 points against a pretty good Chiefs defense with, all these offensive losses, I think it's pretty impressive. And I just want to shout out Sean McDermott. I feel
Yeah.
like when Camille's here, we don't give Sean McDermott as much credit as we need to, but this guy, year in and year out, as a defensive head coach, has fielded a top 10 defense with a variety of personnel. He had all the stars a couple years ago, but not really anymore. Without Matt Milano, with a bunch of young players, he's able to put together once again a top 10 unit that was able to limit Patrick Mahomes. And you have to ask yourself with this Chiefs team, I mean, we had this conversation a year ago and we were wrong. Is this offense good enough to win in the AFC? I mean, they're going to get back Isaiah Pacheco in a couple weeks. They're going to get back Marquise Brown at some point this season. Hopkins really hasn't done much outside of that game against his Chiefs debut or his second game with the Chiefs a couple weeks ago. I think you have to ask yourself, is this Chiefs offense good enough to make some noise against a lot of these good defenses in the AFC?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, you know, I think the best metric for me to really gauge the Chiefs is as a Steelers fan, like how do we compare? And I am so confident in our defense to hold the Chiefs down.
I'm
Like
going
that
to that
one,
game actually.
yeah. Oh, you are the
Yeah,
Christmas.
Christmas Day,
Yeah,
Christmas
that's
Day.
gonna be a
Yeah,
great game.
yeah.
But I remember like a few years ago, we played them in the wild card, we got blown out. But like that offense is different. This offense is different. Our defense has only been getting better somehow. Like we had such a great defense. And for me, like when I think of the teams that are going into the playoffs, like in the AFC, the biggest threats are the Bills and then the Steelers
hmm
for the
You
Chiefs.
don't put the Chiefs in that category.
I genuinely don't. Like I think
Wow.
as someone, I think it's
Those are
just
dangerous words you're playing with, Tree.
yeah, I know. But I'll yeah, the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Steelers, like all three of them are up there. But I don't have as much confidence in this Chiefs team in making it to the run. And this is what I said at the beginning of the season. All three of you will clown me for it because I said it at the beginning of the season about the Chiefs. But it's not great. Like Juju Smith-Schuster, from injury, he'll come back too. And like yeah, they'll have like a ton of like they'll definitely have like Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, Hollywood Brown, Travis Kelsey, like big names or whatever. But I'm just not confident. And Patrick Mahomes, he's not playing his best football this year. He's been like, I'm pretty sure he hasn't even played a top 15 like quarterback like
He's
this
very
year.
good situationally. Yeah, I mean, on
Yeah,
third down, this
yeah,
team is completing half the third, 50% of third down. I think they're the best in the league.
yeah.
That shows you have a quarterback who can be clutch, who can get it done in the moments. I'm not ready to write off the Chiefs yet as a championship contender.
I don't think
At the end of the day,
honestly.
this is a 9-1 team that had their first loss to probably the best team in the AFC, if not the second best team in the AFC. Not ready to write them off yet. But we're not going to really talk about this game. But they're playing the Panthers this week.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that
I mean,
is
like,
not a crazy trap game. Bryce Young is playing pretty well.
yeah, that game in UK was Germany, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but let's talk about the AFC playoff picture. The Chargers got a big win against the Bengals. To go to 7-3. The Bengals are now 4-7, I believe.
Wait,
Texans,
well, before you even go, man, I
yeah,
feel so bad for
yeah,
Joe
for
Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Like, damn, that sucks. Leading the league in touchdowns, leading the league in yards. Jamar Chase is leading the league in yards too. I mean, I think,
4 picks, yeah.
dude. Oh God, like
Joe Burrow, I think if Joe Burrow had 6 wins right now, if they were, let's say they were instead of 7-4, they were 6-5 right now.
he'd be in the MVP
He'd be the
conversation.
MVP favorite.
He's far and away the MVP. Like, it
Yeah,
would not even be a question.
yeah. It's
Um,
sad. It's really he's getting the case of like early 2010s or mid 2010s Drew Brees right now. Uh, but well, actually, let's talk about the Bengals first. Do you think the Bengals are alive for a playoff that 7 seed still at 4-7? Currently, the Broncos are sitting there at 6-5. They will play each other, I believe, in week 16 or 17. Do you think all hope is lost for the Bengals? They still have to play the Steelers twice. I believe they have to play the Browns one more time, who's had their number. Broncos as well.
the thing is, Arjun, I think you can squeeze into the playoffs from the AFC at 9-8 if you're like the seven.
Hmm.
I think you can just because they're and if 9-8 from 4-6 now, is that what you said?
4-7.
4-7. Like
You can only drop one more, really.
you can only drop one more. And Arjun, like it's they have so many divisional games. They have the Steelers. Like
Yeah,
as much as I honestly would want to root for the Bengals, like I feel like they're gonna split with the Steelers. That's
I
already
agree.
their one loss. And then trying to be perfect from then on, like I just can't trust that defense. Like I would put all of my faith into Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but I would never bet on that Bengals defense
Mm.
to not sell a game. So I'm going to say they're done. I'm going to say they have to recoup, fire Zach Taylor, make a lot of changes on both the offensive line and defense, and then just regroup from there. But next year they will be a threat if all goes well.
I mean, I don't know if I would fire Zach Taylor yet. I mean, I know a lot of people are
Yeah.
saying that. I mean, I don't watch all the Bengals games, but problem seems to me in personnel and defense.
Yeah,
Let's not
for sure.
forget, Zach Taylor's an offensive head coach. This offense is a top 3 unit in the league right now. He's
Yeah,
doing his part on offense. And, we're going to give all the credit to Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, but let's give some credit to Zach Taylor as well. He's getting that offense in the right place. As a head coach, you're responsible for everything.
yeah.
Defensive changes are obviously necessary right now. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think the Broncos are playing pretty well. Wouldn't count a team like the Dolphins right now either at 4-6. They're playing pretty well with Tua. Have the fourth easiest schedule remaining left in the league right now. Um, they could make some noise. Let's talk about the other side. The Chargers, 7-3. I'll be quick on the Chargers. I think this is a very good team, led by a very good quarterback with a very good coach. Those teams tend to do well. I think this team's a lock for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Maybe if the Chiefs start to drop some games, could be get interesting for the division because they do play the Chiefs in a couple weeks. But I think a lock for the playoffs. What do you think?
No, I agree, and I think they can make some noise in the playoffs too. Like this is a team where I think, yeah, they're not. When you think of the AFC, you don't think top three. They're in the top three teams, but this is a team where like you can honestly see them make a run for maybe even like the divisional round, even past that too. So excited for the Chargers. So happy for Justin Herbert. We going into the season, we never thought the Chargers were going to be like we knew the chart. We were
Well,
like,
actually,
what the
I
fuck?
did. I predicted them to go like 11
Really?
6, to be
I
honest with
I,
you.
I just did not. I did not know what the offense was going to look like. But now, Justin Herbert's been carving it up. Lad McConkey is back. The run game, J.K. Dobbins working out. He's not injured for the first time in forever. I'm excited for them. I'm happy for them.
Yeah,
Go Justin
yeah.
Herbert.
That's the Harbaugh effect, man. He's just
Yeah.
so I'll ask you to predict two things, Sri. All right. Let's
Yeah.
first go to the 1 seed. Likely the 3 teams you got in play are the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Steelers. I'll try to shout the Chargers probably. Actually, probably not the Chargers. So
Yeah.
Chiefs, Bills, Steelers. Which one of those teams is getting the 1 seed?
I think the Bills are getting the 1 seed.
I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I think the Bills could go 15-2 the way things are looking, and that game against Kansas City is gonna be huge. I think the
Yeah.
way things are going. Now let's go to the 7 seed. Broncos currently sitting there at 6-5. You have teams like the Bengals we already talked about 4-7. The Dolphins at 4-6. Broncos obviously at 6-5. The Colts at 5-6. Which team is going to get the 7 seed in your opinion?
With the way Bo Nix has been playing lately, and the way that the Broncos defense is like up there, Sean Payton, I don't think you can go wrong with the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix, I think it's I don't know, like 4 touchdowns over 300 yards, near perfect
Mm.
passer rating. You can't go wrong with that. So I'm going to take the Broncos going in. Just carving it up. Maybe get a couple divisional wins here and there. Wouldn't be surprised. They almost beat the Chiefs. They
Yeah.
literally almost beat the Chiefs. So yeah, I'm taking the Broncos, man.
Um, Give me the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins,
Ooh,
like I said, have an easy schedule. I'm a pretty big Dolphins hater. I think
yeah, you are. I'm surprised. Yeah,
but this team, like, I'm not expecting them to win a playoff game, but this is, right now, I think is playing like a top 12, top 10 team with Tua there. They were very close to being the Bills. They beat up on the Rams, which are a good team. They beat up on the Raiders. Have some easy games coming up. I really think the Dolphins can get in here. I think the Broncos are going to have a tough job as well. So we'll see. Now let's move to the NFC. Not a lot of big games in the NFC this week. The Lions continue to beat down on teams 52-6 against the Jaguars.
my God,
The
yeah.
Eagles get a big win against the Commanders on Thursday Night Football. Um, let's talk about the race for the 1 seed in the NFC. I don't know where you're at. I'll tell you where I'm at. I predicted at the beginning of the season the Lions are going to go to the Super Bowl. I said that this Lions team would be playing better than they ever have, and they're doing exactly that and exceeding my already super high expectations for them. This Lions team is incredible. It's one of the probably the most fun offense to watch in the league right now. They just do everything right. They have everything you would want in a team. Their defense, even without Hutch, playing really well. Lions get the 1 seed in my opinion. What do you think?
So I did not predict the Lions to get the 1 seed. I in fact predicted the Atlanta Falcons to get the 1 seed, and we all know where that went. Never bet on the Atlanta Falcons ever. Um, but yeah, I honestly have to agree. I'll go the Lions as well. I could honestly see a Lions Eagles NFC Championship probably. I don't necessarily think anyone else is like up there. The Eagles have they recouped. I know at the beginning of the year we were talking about how the defense looks shaky, AJ Brown being injured, but that Eagles team looks like pretty legit.
Mhm.
So I'll honestly go Lions at the 1 seed, Eagles at the 2. Yeah, I'm unfortunately the Vikings are going to have to take a wild card spot.
So let's start with the Eagles really quick. Do you think the Eagles have sewn up the NFC East right now at this point?
Yeah, I think they got it. I think the Commanders. I think the league has figured them out. I
Mhm.
don't think. I think that offense like worked great, but the run game has gotten a little less efficient over the season. I don't think the people are locking up Terry McLaurin, and Jane Daniels has honestly started playing a little worse than at the beginning of the season. Historic way to start the season, the completion percentage has fallen off. I think the league has just started to figure them out a lot more. But with the Eagles, like they're playing the Rams, and then they have like a couple of divisional games against like the NFC North, like the Ravens and the Steelers, and then they just have a lot of divisional games outside of that. So I trust the Eagles. The Cowboys and the Giants. We already know how they look. So just give me the Eagles for the 2 seed and the Lions at the 1.
Yeah, I agree. I do think this. I don't think the Eagles. I'm not sure the Eagles are actually going to compete for the 2 seed because, like you said, they have some tough games. The Rams are not easy. Ravens
Yeah,
and Steelers, obviously, and then they have, like you said, divisional games. These next 3 games are going to be pretty tough for the Eagles, I think. So we'll see. But like you said, I think the Commanders, young team that was playing above its talent level, I think,
exactly.
and
Yeah,
are kind of coming regressing down to what they actually are. We'll see if they can sneak into the playoffs, but nevertheless, a pretty fun start for the Commanders.
I
Let's move
do want to
to
say I do want to
yeah,
say one thing though. This is like I don't even know if this is such going to be considered an insane hot take, but in my opinion, it is. I just feel like the Cardinals, like with the
yeah,
way they're playing recently, their schedule looks pretty easy. Like some divisional games here and there. They got the Patriots, the Panthers, the Vikings, which I honestly feel like they could upset the Vikings just because the Vikings saw the bag here and there. But the Cardinals could be in that conversation too. And who knows what happens when the Cardinals are at the 2 and then the Eagles are at the 3, like how that plays out because the
yeah,
Cardinals are playing the 7 seed. So I just want to say that the Cardinals are playing great football. Shout out Kyler Murray.
yeah. No, actually, let's talk about the NFC West. Do you think the Cardinals are
Yeah.
in this division? Cardinals are at
Yeah.
6-4 right now. Rams, Seahawks, Niners, all at 5-5. But the Niners are 0-3 in the division right now.
Yeah. man, the Niners fall off just needs to be studied. Like,
Yeah.
I know Ayuk went out. Like, this is a team that we just all expected to somehow make it back to like number one seed form. I know they had injuries and everything, but it just looks terrible. It's so confusing. It's so hard for me to make a prediction. One the Seahawks, they started off the season great. They just beat the Niners. But I feel like I don't feel like betting against the Niners. But I think the Cardinals are the hottest team in the league right now. I think they've got out. I think the Rams have a more consistent offense, and I probably like the experience coming from Matthew Stafford over anyone else in that division. But I'm gonna honestly take the hot take and just go all in on the Cardinals, just because I love what they got going on with that offense, and I just love the way Kyler Murray's been playing lately. So give me the Cardinals.
I like the Cardinals a lot. I think they are going to make the playoffs, but I think it's going to be as a wild card team. I'm sticking to
Yeah,
my Rams prediction. I had the Steelers,
yeah,
I believe it was the two
yeah,
seed, the beginning of the season. I'm gonna, like you said, experience matters.
yeah.
Stafford and McVay are going to put it together. If Puka and Cup can stay healthy, this team is going to make some noise. I think, for example, I think they're going to beat the Eagles this weekend. And I just think, the Cardinals are much like the Commanders. Let's not forget the Commanders beat up on the Cardinals earlier this
Yeah,
season.
yeah.
I think the Cardinals are a team that's playing way above its talent level with a quarterback that's playing very good and I think elevating a lot of his roster around him. That's why I think the Cardinals are going to regress a little bit. I think they'll sneak in the playoffs and maybe 9-8, 10-7, about where I thought they'd be. But this is a pretty cool start to the season for them. So let's talk about the NFC South. We'll see if Baker can get these weapons back, maybe, but he's already 0-2 against the Falcons. I think the Falcons have this. Don't really trust the Falcons that much, though, right?
Yeah, no. As much as I would have liked to trust them, I thought they had a really. I mean, me and Camille, we both thought they had probably one of the best well-rounded rosters in the league. But I don't know, man. Like every single week's just different.
Yeah.
How do you go from Kirk 500 yards? I think they had like 3 touchdowns that game to getting like completely beat up by the Broncos 38-6. Like I know Bo Nix had a career game and the Broncos are playing great, but 38-6 just shows that like the offense has been like non-existent in that league. I mean, in that game. So yeah, I don't think the Falcons are going to go anywhere. I think they're a first round exit at best, honestly.
Yeah. I think we both agree Vikings and Packers are looking pretty good right now.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about that seventh spot. So you have the Commanders in play, and then you have these glut of NFC West teams. You have the Rams, Seahawks, Niners, maybe outside shot for the Bucks or the Bears. Who do you think is going to get that seventh spot if we have, as we expect, Lions, Vikings, Packers, these three NFC North teams kind of taking up three of the spots in the playoffs? Do you think it's going to be the Commanders? Do you think any of these NFC West teams like the Seahawks or Niners can sneak in too, or the Rams?
If I wasn't gonna, so I was gonna say I think the Cardinals and the Rams are both gonna make it. So because I had the
Mhm.
Cardinals win the division, I'm gonna have the Rams like just sneaking in because I think the potential for both these teams is just, it's just they're on the up right now. And that the Commanders team, like, they're playing great. And honestly, I would not be surprised if they didn't make the playoffs. Like they definitely are. Like they have a couple games ahead. They probably will figure it out. But like I would honestly go for the Rams, like just off of what I'm seeing right now. I wouldn't be surprised if the Commanders made it, but just give me the Rams at the 7.
So are you completely out on the Niners right now?
I am completely out on the Niners. It's not a confidence inspiring team. I think George Kittle's out for this coming week against the Packers. I feel like they're going to lose to the Pack. Like the schedule's insane, Arjun. Like they're playing the Packers, the Bills, the Rams, the Lions, the Cardinals, and the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Like
None of those
potentially,
games are guaranteed. Those are all good teams. Yeah.
honestly, none of them are guaranteed wins.
Yeah.
And they have to play the Bears, which honestly, the Bears almost pulled off an upset
They're
against the
frisky.
Packers.
Yeah.
So who knows? They're a 5-5 team. They might go 5-12. Like the spread is crazy. Like I don't know what they're gonna do. So I don't think the Niners are honestly gonna make the playoffs just based on their schedule and just based off the injuries and just based on how they've been playing.
I mean, you have to think about how many leads the Niners have choked this year, right? Like
Honestly,
how they've looked in control of games and just choked it away. And now they're sitting at 5-5 with the hardest part of their schedule ahead of them. And like, I don't know. I don't think this is Purdy's fault
no,
either.
I
I
think
think
Purdy's
it's,
playing good football. Like I mean, not good, like amazing football, but you know, I don't even know, man.
yeah. But to close off today's episode, Shri, we're sitting a little bit past midseason right now. Give me your midseason Super Bowl prediction and your midseason who you think is going to be MVP.
Okay. Whew. I think I'm gonna go with the right answer here. I'm gonna go Bills Lions and Josh Allen as the MVP. I don't think that's a hard take. I think it's a very
Mhm.
reasonable take. Um, but hey, if anything else happens, I'm more than excited for it. I want the Lions to make the end. I do want the Lions to make the Super Bowl. I think they should. They were there last year. Ben Johnson came back, but yeah, give me the Lions winning that game. I'll go. I think it'll be a very high scoring game, honestly. So very high scoring for Super Bowl standards. So I'll go. I'll go maybe like 27, 23 Lions.
Okay, I have the exact same as you. I think the Lions are. I think it's going to be Bills Lions. At this point, I think Lions. Actually, I'm going to take the Bills in that game. I think the Bills
Ooh,
win that game. I'll say 28-24. I'm going to take the better quarterback in the Super Bowl. That has generally not steered me wrong. Last year, I got off that when I picked the Niners a little bit against the Chiefs. I think in these big games, you got to take the best quarterback available. And Josh Allen, if he wins MVP, wins Super Bowl MVP as well. Give me the Bills. Um, sorry, you're gonna say anything?
now I was just gonna say, like, you're talking about the better quarterback, and I totally agree with that. But Jared Goff and the Lions got away with throwing 5 interceptions against the Houston
That's
Texans.
true.
They
That's true.
still managed to come back. I don't think I've ever seen a team do that. Like, no matter, like, 5 interceptions from a quarterback is like insane. Like, I know the Texans didn't have half of their offensive roster, but like, I mean, come on now. They're such a good team. I'm so happy for them.
Yeah. But anyway, that reaches the end of today's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening and for joining us on this final season of On the Turf. Excited to bring you guys content for the next 2.5 months or so. So please check out our Instagram for picks, power rankings, and episodes like this. Should have a very fun playoff race coming up with these teams starting to heat up, and have a lot of predictions coming your way around which teams will make it to the playoffs and eventually to the Super Bowl. My name is Arjun Ryan,
I'm Sri Konda.
and we'll see you next week